Hello, and welcome to today's webcast, Key to Productivity, Right Tool for the Job. Now I'd like to introduce today's speaker, Prasanna Adavi. Over to you.
Thank you, Jessica. Hello, everyone. This is Prasanna Adavi. I'll be your speaker for today. Welcome to this webcast, wherever you are logging in from. Since this is worldwide, for some of you it might be later in the day. So thank you for joining us. So let's get started. We have 1 hour to cover a lot of material. So let's keep going. Okay, so first and foremost, I just wanted to remind all of you that there is a survey at the end of the event. In fact, that should be showing up in your window. So make sure you fill out the survey. You will be entered for a chance to win a copy of Project 2016. So moving on. Okay, so just a little bit about myself. My name is Prasanna Adavi. I'm a Microsoft MVP for Project and also work as director for PPM at a company called EPMA. We'll talk about EPMA towards the end of my presentation. I have been working with PPM and project technologies for around 12 to 13 years now. And I speak at various events across the country. So I don't know if some of you already heard me talk. So hopefully I'm not repeating the same information that you have seen in my other presentations. So I think that's enough about myself. So let's take a look at today's agenda. What do we have today? So I'm not sure how many how clear the title was. So pretty much what we're going to cover today is if you have been following Microsoft over the last couple of years, ever since Office 365 has been started, almost every month there is a new update or a new product or a new service that's being released. Moving to cloud has really increased the pace for all these products and services. In fact, once in a while, I am myself like, wow, I can't just keep up with this stuff. Purely for our context, purely for a project work or task management, now there are several options. There is Planner that has gone live a couple of months ago. There is standard SharePoint that people are used to with and a lot more new features added into SharePoint, new look for document libraries. And then there is Project Online, which keeps improving every day with new features and capabilities. So, and then I'm pretty sure there's Outlook that people use. There is Excel, and there is Wunderlist that Microsoft acquired sometime late last year. So what do you use? I mean, with so many tools and services, how do you make sense of all of this stuff? That's the gist of what we are going to talk about today. I will walk you through some solutions and try to categorize them and give you a map as to which tool is more applicable where, and hopefully that will give you some clarity on the right tool for the job. So from an agenda standpoint, we'll cover what is a job. I mean, we keep talking about the job of achieving productivity, but I think we can all agree on a high-level classification. So we'll go through the common project and work management scenarios. And we'll also talk about the right tool, obviously. So like I said, I'll walk you through the options, and then we'll take questions as we go. Please feel free to type in your questions in the Q&A window that you have, and I will try and bring them up at the right points in my demos or my presentation. So let's move on. Okay, so what's the job? So the job that we are trying to manage could be different for different people. These days there are terms thrown around: task management, work management, project and portfolio management. To me, these are the high 3-level categorization where your work could be classified into. So when you talk about task management, which is our first category, we are talking about individuals and very small teams. So you're talking about things that you do on a day-to-day basis. So let's say you walk into work today. I'm pretty sure a good percentage of all of you started by checking your email, because email, no matter how old it is, how much people say it's getting outdated, it still forms a major part of our workday. It also is unique because it brings conversations, it also brings our tasks, it also brings action items, everything together. So when we talk about task management, we're talking about that level where you are managing your day-to-day tasks, or you're just going back and forth with your team to exchange some tasks. Okay, so some of the tools we have for this kind of stuff is, obviously we have Wunderlist. I don't know if I use Wunderlist a lot even before Microsoft acquired it for my personal task management. And Outlook obviously is there. It has its own task functionality. Many of our emails actually convert into tasks, so it's easier to just drag and drop them into your task window and set up rules and categories. I know some people who are really, really deep into Outlook usage for task management. So if you are like that, great. And there is OneNote. Some people use OneNote. It has its own task management functionality. So there's a lot of people who use OneNote for that. So that's your first level of what we are calling jobs. So that's one category. What's the next? The next level we are talking about is what we are addressing as work management. Task management at a personal level or a colleague level, maybe one or two people talking back and forth, is great. But it starts breaking down. If those are the only tools you have, it starts breaking down when you have higher level collaboration that needs to happen. So when you have more than two people, more than five people, how do you keep all the work in one place? You don't want to hide all that work in somebody's mailbox. In this kind of scenario, the work is less planned. It is still planned, but it is not as rigorous as you would do for a project management. You need think of the best example that comes to my mind is marketing teams. Marketing teams, in fact, some time ago I implemented a PPM solution for a marketing team, and their first response was, "This is too structured for our work." And so we had to go back and make some changes to make sure it all worked the way they want. They're happy customers now, but marketing teams don't really stick. They still have a structure, but it is not the same structure as an information technology team would follow. So your tools will need to allow for that kind of stuff. It needs to be more free-flowing. It needs to be more less rigorous. Your main goal is to get the work done, not fill forms and reams of paper or online lists that you constantly have to keep updated. Okay, so what do we have in this run? The tools we have here is obviously we have Excel. Excel still seems to be the most popular work management, project management, whatever you call it, tool for many people. So the first thing, you want to make a list of things that need to be done, you open up Excel. I'm pretty sure everybody's nodding their heads right now. So and how do you transition from Excel to SharePoint? SharePoint is our next level work management tool where you can put everything in one place so that the team can collaborate in a single place. These all still work with your email, so you're not really taking email out of your picture. The other tool that is a recent entrant into the Office 365 spectrum is Planner. We will cover that in detail today. Planner was developed with a sole aim of providing an easy way to manage work or tasks for smaller teams, some free-flowing teams that are more visual in terms of working as opposed to non-visual kind of working. So it's a beautiful tool, so we'll cover that in detail today. Some of these actually you could argue these tools could be used across the divisions that we are setting them as there. So think of these categorizations as a little bit fluid, because what I'm calling task management, you might be calling that work management, or vice versa. So So those are the tools we have for this level. So let's go ahead and take a look at third categorization, which is project and portfolio management. So once you cross the level of managing ad hoc work or smaller teams, now you're looking at organizations and enterprises who are trying to manage projects. Can you not manage a project within SharePoint? I'm not saying that, absolutely. That's not my intention. But there are limitations to what SharePoint can provide to you, at least out of the box, when you are trying to manage a project, and take it one more level up when you're trying to manage a portfolio. So at that time, you are looking at solutions like Project Online. Most of you, if you're project managers, you probably are using Microsoft Project already. With Project Online, it has become even more powerful. So at an enterprise level, you're looking at project and portfolio management, and there are tools for that, right? So let's launch into a demo of how can you use SharePoint for work management. I'm sure most of you on this call are already aware of SharePoint. Wanted to cover some features that you may or may not know. Let me share my screen. Okay. So a SharePoint site can be created. Generally, there are lots of policies and frameworks. Depending on your framework, how the sites are created, there is a process around it in your organization. But at a high level, pretty much, you can actually have a simple SharePoint site for your particular project or work or team. It is so fluid that you can use it for anything. So creation of a site is pretty easy. So I'm going to just call it Project Webcast Demo 1. Okay, PWD1. Okay, so you just specify the site name. As you can see, there are several templates out here. A team site is pretty much your team site template where you can start putting documents, content, collaboration, and stuff like that. And then there are other templates here. There are enterprise templates which give you even more functionality based on what you want to do. And you can obviously create your own templates based on what you want to do. So for this purpose, for this demo, I'm going to select a project site. So I'm going to leave the other options as they are. So let me click Create. Okay, go back to the site. So it looks like I have my site already there. So go ahead and create a new site, new subsite, PWD2, PWD2, select the project site, and create. Okay, so that will go ahead, and I selected a project site because it gives me some elements that are suited for project management pre-installed so that I don't have to spend time installing some things I need. You can always customize and expand the site the way you want. So there goes our site. So it's been created right now. As you can see, the template has come with some default inbuilt functionality, some apps or add-ins like we're calling it these days. You can see there's a notebook functionality, which I'll delve into a little bit in a second. There is a documents where you can upload all your documents. There is tasks, there is calendar, there is site contents and stuff like that. Okay, so all these are pre-built apps that are installed for you when you select the project site template. Like I said, you can actually customize this template and use that so that you don't have to add your own apps every time somebody creates a site. Okay, so let's start with the tasks because that's most relevant to us right now. So as you can see, there is a sample task list that's created here. Okay, I'm going to copy this. Okay, so the task list is inbuilt. As you can see, there is a timeline feature. I don't know if you have used the timeline feature in SharePoint 2013 and 2016. And this is SharePoint Online, so this is the latest version of a timeline. So this has been introduced since 2013. It came for people who did not know. This timeline feature came as a result of the feature introduced in Project 2010. It became so popular with all the clients, at least the clients I was working with, and I'm pretty sure Microsoft has seen the same surge, so they introduced that into SharePoint. At least I would like to think so. It came from project, right? Okay, so now let's say you have this task list. Now, how do you, let's say you are using Excel to maintain your tasks, right? So how do you transition from Excel to SharePoint? The good thing is they made it very easy in SharePoint Online. So the copy functionality has been increased so much that you can just copy your task list and paste it into a SharePoint site. Okay, so that will paste the task list. As you can see, it is being added as we talk. All the resources are synced to Active Directory. If the resource is not in the Active Directory, it will prompt you and say, hey, I can't find this resource, right? So even further, if you have not used the task list in this version of SharePoint or the latest version, so there are task indentation features. So if you are used to Microsoft Project like me, you would want to organize this into a WBS. So when you indent, now this actually does the indentation instead of just putting it in a folder. If you remember the previous versions of SharePoint, it would create a summary folder for all your subtasks. So that's a great improvement from a visual standpoint, easy for people to understand. So quickly indenting this to bring a structure, and then this one too. So moving everything. So now I have my WBS, work breakdown structure, right? So minimizing that, and you can see it picked up the dates into and converted them to user-friendly, read-friendly manner. You can actually now add these tasks to timeline. So I can say add this to this is already added in timeline, so I'm going to add the next one to timeline and next one to timeline. Okay. So you can easily display this to the timeline in the timeline manner, and you can keep track of the milestones and all that. The cool thing is you can actually create dashboards from this list view using this timeline. We don't have time to get into that today, but you can color the milestones, you can color the timeline level tasks, so on and so forth, to be able to use this as a dashboard, quick dashboard for whoever is collaborating on the project. Okay, taking it one more level. So let's say you are looking at this and say, hey Prasanna, I already know this SharePoint list, great, what's the big deal? The cool thing is now you can also, and this has been there in 2010, but in 2013 the functionality has been improved, where you can actually sync this task list with Microsoft Project. The reason SharePoint for work management is so popular with people is it allows people to use the tool that they're comfortable with. If your team members are comfortable with using a list, they can use a list. If your team members are if you have project managers who say, hey, I'm used to using Microsoft Project, I don't want to go into SharePoint and update every single item. So you can allow them to do that too. So all you have to do is click on Open with Project. So that will open the entire task list in Microsoft Project. So you can see that the syncing is happening as we are talking. So I'm going to skip the intro. So you can, the entire task list is now brought into Microsoft Project. So if you are comfortable with using Microsoft Project, then this is much better for an experienced project manager. So I'm going to make some changes, convert everything into auto schedule, and I'm going to change some colors and say that's yellow, red, that's green. Okay. Okay, and I'm going to also add a new task. Insert task. Okay, and I'm going to auto schedule this. Okay. All right. So all I have to do, because this sync has already been established, I just have to save this. So immediately, okay, the task list is still available. Okay, save. All right. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and close this. No. All right. So let me go back and open it one more time. Open with project. Yes. Okay. This is not working for some reason, just like demos will give us trouble. But as you can see, I could open this with project and sync all those changes back. What this does is actually this saves a copy of the project file into your site assets library. So if you click on site assets, you will be able to see that that project has been saved. So let me go back. I will. Oh, I know why it's happening. It's syncing with my other account. Okay, project. All right. So let's try one more time, and if not, we will move on because Planner has a really good demo that we can look at. So I'm going to click on List, open with Project. Okay, so I'm going to skip intro. Okay, so let's make some changes here. Auto schedule. Going to 5, 5, 5, 5. Okay, try and go ahead and save it. Okay, so you can see now that it is updating SharePoint and project both. It will take just a minute, and we will go back and look at it. So let's go ahead and add a new task so that I can see the change that actually happened. Demo task 1. Okay, and so it doesn't want to add a new task. That's fine. Okay, so let's go back and to refresh this screen. So you can see all the tasks now that we changed the due date, they all changed to September 1. Okay, so you can sync all changes. So if this is a simple, if it's a mixed organization where some of the people are using task lists and some of them are using Microsoft Project, this is a great way to bring both of them together using SharePoint. Because if you use Excel, there is no direct integration. You can set up maps with Project, but they're not really the most recommended solution. So generally, when the clients ask me as to a better solution, so we try to use SharePoint as an intermediary, where you can publish your project schedule, and then your team members can update it from here. So updating a task is pretty easy. So you can create several views for each of your purposes, and then marking something complete is as simple as doing that. Or you can actually open the task itself and mark something to a specific percentage complete. So, so that's about the task list. Let me go ahead and save that. So that's about the task list. And then that will sync back to Microsoft Project when you open the project next time. Okay. The other features that come with SharePoint is there is a notebook feature. This is available in all SharePoint Online sites. This is a common problem for any project collaboration that I have seen in the meeting minutes. I mean, where do you actually capture the meeting minutes? somebody, almost always, there is somebody who takes the meeting minutes, they forget to send it, it's in their email, or they put it in a document. The document is somewhere, or they send it as an attachment, and nobody really remembers to save it back to the site. It would be great if they save the document into the SharePoint document library, but a lot of times they don't. So using OneNote for meeting minute taking is a great way, because OneNote saves real time. So I'm going to just say meeting minutes demo. Okay, and you can type any meeting minutes, and you don't even have to save. So that will save back directly into the site. So all the meeting minutes are in the same site every time you come here. So you can just go back and look at that particular section and see all your meeting minutes still there. So everything is still there. So you can use, obviously you can use it for many other purposes. It's a note-taking software that's built into SharePoint Online. So you can use it for many different uses, however you see fit. Let's talk about documents. Project management is nothing without documentation. You'll probably agree that there is a ton of documentation for any single project. If you have not seen this, this is the new look of document libraries in Office 365. It comes with a lot of new features. You can actually now do a quick edit. All the icons are right up in the corner. You can actually create documents from here. You can also create new kind of documents. Excel survey, you can create a link. All these are inbuilt right now. There was a webinar that was given when this was released, the future of SharePoint. You might want to refer to that to delve deeper into all the capabilities of the new document libraries. And this also supports the hybrid versions of SharePoint, where you can have the on-premises version, the search work across on-premises and online versions. So the document library has a ton of new features, so make sure you go back and read up on that. And there is obviously the calendar, where you can actually put, this has been there forever, so you can add calendar events. So all in all, the SharePoint provides a convenient location for managing all your work, as long as it's smaller teams and smaller organizations. Now, where does it not satisfy the requirements, you might ask? In my opinion, the biggest challenge comes in two areas. One is resource management. If you're looking for resource management, SharePoint may not do the job in the context I'm showing you. I'm sure there are several third-party add-ons, third-party products that you can use to enable resource management, but I'm just talking about out-of-box SharePoint. It also it's a little bit difficult to develop reporting across multiple task lists across all project sites. So in a decent organization, you might have 200 to 300 mini projects going on, and if you have a project site for every project, reporting might become challenging. So that's another area I have found challenges trying to get my customers what they need. So, but if it is a small team, smaller projects, ad hoc plans, it's very, very, very convenient, as you all probably know already. Okay, so let me go back to my meeting manager and take any questions. So that covers the SharePoint part of it. Okay, so there are 3 questions, so let's take one by one. Is there workflow capability within SharePoint? Yes, absolutely. SharePoint Designer 2013 still works with SharePoint Online. So for any of the task list I showed you, any of the documents, you can have approvals. There are also inbuilt workflows that come with SharePoint. Again, I'm not going to go deeper into that. There are several good sessions on workflows, but yes, the capability is inbuilt, and with SharePoint Designer, which is a free tool, you can actually develop your own workflow, the way document approvals, list item approvals, and that kind of stuff. Okay, can we manage user access for notebook. Only some people can take minutes, only some can write in some area. To be honest, I have never tried that. I'm pretty sure since it's a notebook, permissions can be controlled. I think by default it inherits the permissions at the site level. So you have to go in and control the permissions at the notebook level. But again, I have to try it myself to be able to answer that for sure. Okay, is there a built-in functionality to include a cost and effort for each task in SharePoint, or does that require Microsoft Project? And Microsoft Project is a separate license, correct? Okay, so that's a lot of questions in one question, so let me answer that. Yes, Microsoft Project is a separate license. The reason I brought up that topic is a lot of times organizations have mixed environments. Trying to highlight the point that PMs can use the tool that they are comfortable with. Can you include a cost and effort for each task in SharePoint? Yes, in a task list, it's a matter of just adding two columns called cost and effort. And you can actually sync that to Microsoft Project if you have that. Or vice versa, you can have Microsoft Project store the data for cost and effort and sync it to two custom columns in SharePoint, which makes it a beautiful solution because now you can sync back and forth. What SharePoint does not give you is a calculation capability. So if something on the cost changes, it doesn't really calculate anything for you, like remaining cost or budgeted cost. It doesn't do any of those things unless you write custom formulae. If you use Microsoft Project Sync, Project can do all those calculations for you, and then you just sync the results back into SharePoint. So that way you can overcome the ability, the challenge of SharePoint not calculating. Okay. Can it create a list of people to contact based on tasks that a certain user completes? I would think this would be, there are two ways to do this. One is you can set up alerts for people who want to receive updates on specific tasks. That's out of the box, so you don't even have to write a workflow. And the second option I was going to go with is you can develop a workflow on the entire task list and direct it to send an email every time something changes on a specific task. So you can do that. Okay, is there any integration with Planner? That's a very broad question. I'm not sure what kind of integration with Planner you're looking at. Planner right now is kind of a separate solution. It does have some integration points like OneDrive and Office 365 groups, which in turn talk to a SharePoint. So it's like an indirect integration right now. So we'll have to wait for the future roadmap to see where Planner is going. And I will cover Planner in my next demo. Is there a way to do forms such as a survey or an inventory form? Yes, definitely. What I did not show in my demo is that you can actually create your own custom add-ins. So I'm sharing my screen again. So you can actually create your own add-ins. I keep calling them apps. So you can do a custom list which has the forms that you want. You might, right now, InfoPath is a solution. There are several third-party app form solutions that you might want to try. And there is a form library, and then there is, I believe there is a survey app which has all the survey-like functionality where people can mark their answers, and you can have reports that say, here is 5 people who said yes, 10 people who said no, that kind of stuff. So you can create surveys. All these add-ins are out of the box. So you can actually select any of these and create your own add-in. Just for an example, I'll go ahead and create an issue tracking because this is my project. So I'm going to, I'm sure I will have some issues. So I want something that I need to track my issues with. So I just created a new app, selected the app type and gave it a name. So it creates an app right away. So you can see and when I click new item, a form which is pre-made is populated. So I can give it a title, marketing team is not ready, something like that. You can assign it to a person, so I'm going to assign it to Darrow, Alex Darrow, marketing assistant, and give it a description. So this entire form is ready for you to fill without you making any changes. And you can actually make changes to this if you want. You can add more columns, you can hide columns, you can actually customize the entire form using any third-party form solution. Okay, so if this is on-premises, InfoPath is the current solution until Microsoft tells us what's the next version of it. So yeah, there is a lot of form customization available. So going back to my questions, again, so does Microsoft projects support PMO enterprise resource management across many projects? So I'm going to cover Project Online towards the end of my demo, so which will actually cover everything. If you are asking about purely standalone Microsoft project covering resource management, yes, there is. Let me put it this way: you can do it, but as a project management consultant, I would not recommend it, because after a certain number of files, it just becomes an unwieldy solution. So at that point, I would recommend using Project Server or Project Online to manage multiple projects across an enterprise PMO. Okay. Can this be used to schedule participants? Not sure I understand the question, but I'm assuming, can you create a sign-up sheet kind of a functionality? Yes, absolutely. You would create a custom list and put all the columns you need, and then it becomes your sign-up list. Okay. So I think I have answered almost all the questions that came up. So in order to, in the interest of time, I'll keep moving. Our next solution for work management is Planner, as I said. So let me open up Planner again. Screen share. Okay, so for people who are wondering what Planner is, I would suggest you think of it as a completely separate service than SharePoint or Project Server or Project Online. Planner was introduced to accommodate for the segment of the market who are used to tools like Trello, Asana, quick, easy visual management tools, right? So it has, like I said, like somebody asked, it has indirect integration with some of the other components in the Office 365 family. But think of it as a separate service, if you want to understand it better. So how do you access Planner? So if you click on what we call Waffle, you will see Planner is right beside Project. So I'm going to go ahead and click on Planner. Okay, so Planner brings you to a completely new interface. It has its own domain name, if you called tasks.office.com. So if you want to type that, it will take you to the same place. What you are seeing on the screen is something called Planner Hub. This is your starting point, which brings the status of your favorite plans right up front and center. So we'll talk about the statusing and colors in just a second. I would want to cover a few other things. So the easiest way to understand this is to go ahead and create a new plan. So I'll go ahead and, let's say I'm a marketing team. I want to just quickly track a product launch event. Okay, so product launch event project. Okay, so plan email address. A planner plan will always create an Office 365 group. The discussion about Office 365 groups is out of our scope right now. But again, there are a lot of great webinars available for Office 365 groups. I would suggest going through them if you are interested to learn more. But it basically, at a high level, the functionality is this plan as it is will have an email address which you can copy on your emails and communicate back and forth with the rest of your team. So it becomes your discussion forum email address. Okay, so I'm going to keep this plan public so that everybody can see it. I'm going to create plan. You can create private plans if, let's say, you are relocating. There's a plan for relocating an office to somewhere else. So you might want to keep that confidential until the leadership is ready to announce it. So you can make it private and only invite certain people. Okay, so as you can see, it created the plan pretty fast, and the interface looks a little bit similar to the other tools that you might have seen, cards, buckets, that kind of stuff. Okay, so how do I add a new task to my plan? So I'm going to say product event, launch event. So I'm going to say book venue, schedule speakers. Okay, prepare demos. Okay, ship materials. Okay, prepare entertainment. Okay, and organize and actually let me say send invitations, organize event. So that's enough for now. So as you can see, as I kept typing in, it just kept adding all those cards to my plan or task, if you want to call it. Now, the next step, if you are logically right-brained in terms of we want to have a logical sequence to this. So what you can do is you can create into buckets. So I'm going to say plan event logistics. Okay. And then what I can do is I can actually drag and drop into okay, so plan event logistics, add a new bucket. So let's say entertainment, okay, and then D-Day. So okay, so I'm going to say organize event goes into D-Day, ship materials, prepare demos, book venue, send invitations, schedule speakers. So as you can see, this is a little bit different than SharePoint, where here I'm just dragging and dropping everything. It follows a line of visual planning. So some people are more comfortable with this kind of planning. So now I'm organizing things into my bucket. You can organize them in the order of priority, up and down, and then you can move things around if you think the bucket organization is different. You can also group them by buckets or progress. So since none of them are actually started, so everything will show up in this in not started bucket. So I'm going to group them by the buckets the way I had it. Obviously, if so we have built the schedule. If you want to take an analogy to the PMI process, now the next step is to build your team. So I'm going to build my team quickly. So building a team is pretty easy. So you can actually search for the name and click on it. So it will the person will get added to your team. So let me try that. Katie Jordan. Who else? Ali Bellew. Okay, and Sarah. Okay, so that's enough for now. Okay, so I have these people in my team. Now here is what is cool about Planner. Since again this is all visual planning, I can actually open up each task and actually assign the person here. So I can say assign the person and all that. But we can do it in a much more cooler way. I can just take that person's icon and drop it on the task to assign the task to that person. So I can just drag onto send invitations. I can assign to Katie. I can assign to Sarah, and I'm assigned to schedule speakers to Alex again. Okay, so and then I will assign that one and that one. Done. All assignments completed. So how cool is that? Just drag and drop, and it will assign it to the person that you want it to be assigned to. Okay. So now you can actually, if I open each of these tabs, there is a lot more detail behind it. You can see you can add description. Now it is assigned. You can. So in some cases, not in some cases, maybe in most cases, a task will have several sub-items. So I said prepare a demo. Prepare demo doesn't, it's not just that one task. I have to say, okay, prepare VM, make sure all items work, test, all that, so on and so forth. So what I can do is I can actually add a sub checklist into the task, and see how cool this one is. So you can see once I close it, you can see that it shows the number of sub tasks underneath the task and their count. And if I mark any of them complete, so it will further show me that 1 out of 3 is complete. How cool is that? So you can say, okay, and once all those 3 things are complete, then you can mark this as complete. And marking complete is also not a big deal. So just check that, and it's complete, done. So same thing here. Now, so the other thing that is also cool about this is entire task history is stored here at the bottom in the task itself. The idea behind this is to keep everything related to a task with the task itself. How many times have you had to create a task in a task list, store a document somewhere else, link it back, and then all the email conversation that happens along with that task is somewhere else. So now all the activity log for a specific task is right below the task itself. So all you have to do is open this task item. Now that's another cool item. Now here is another one. If you click on attach, you can actually upload files. Say I click on upload file, or I can browse my OneDrive. So you can see there's right now I don't have any documents here, but I can create links. So if I upload a file, I'm going to say http www.microsoft.com. Okay, so I'm going to do that and say Microsoft. So not only I can upload documents, I can create links, which will show up here. So you can see the link is right here. So you can provide key links. Again, marketing team is a great example for this, because every time I work with one of those kind of teams, I keep thinking of how they can use Planner. So they can use links. They have a lot of links that they have stored somewhere else, or reference links saying, hey, look at this video, look at this collateral, then maybe we can do something like this, that kind of stuff. You can, like I said, you can also attach documents. You can just upload a file, and it will get stored into the OneDrive for that particular instance. Okay, and you can change start date. You can do all this stuff. You can change your buckets here. You can set a due date and so on and so forth. Even further, you can also assign labels to each of these tasks. Another way to organize. If you are used to doing this in Outlook, categories, think of it similarly. So you can assign a label and set a name for the label, and say anything red is urgent. Okay, so you can call that, and then you can assign that label. Okay, so the label will show up once it syncs up. The label will show up on the top right corner here. Okay, and you can add as many buckets as you want, and it's a visual organization. You can see that there is an attachment there, so you can actually click on that attachment and open it. Now, this is a great way to organize your work. Again, smaller teams, ad hoc work. You don't have to prepare a schedule. You don't have to think. You can. One of the biggest things that is happening as a revolution right now is tools are being asked to allow thinking as they're doing work. So Excel is so popular because you can actually think as you're typing. You don't have to worry about dates, you don't have to worry about constraints, you don't have to worry about predecessors, linkages, and all that. You can just start typing and think as you go. Or you can sit down as a team and everybody can have their input and you can just put the information out there and organize it later. Planner is one of those tools which will allow you to sit down as a team, post stuff, and move around. Okay, we are getting closer to an end point, so I want to move on. So there is a lot more functionality. There is charts available, great reporting. So you can so if you look at the charts, there is inbuilt reporting available. So for this particular plan, you can see all the yellow ones are not started. Green means completed. You can see who is assigned what. Alex Darrow is assigned 2 tasks, so you can actually click on that task and look at those 2 tasks that he's assigned to. Okay, and you can follow up and say, hey, what happened? You can reassign it to somebody else and say, okay, open this and say, okay, I want to reassign it to Katie or somebody else. Okay, so let's say I want to assign this to Katie. Okay, so now it doesn't show up in Alex's queue anymore. So you can manage work from here. Now, one last thing I want to cover before I move on is you might be asking, Prasanna, this is great, but this is one plan. I might end up getting assigned tasks from 50 different plans. Everybody creates a plan, they put in my name, and how do I see all my tasks in one place? So there is a view called My Tasks where you can actually see all the tasks. I'm logged in as administrator, but I don't have any data here. But you can see all your tasks under a My Task view, which aggregates everything across all the plans within Planner and puts it in one place. Okay, so you can see there are a lot of plans here. When I click on all plans, you can see there's probably a ton of plans. The whole goal, the vision behind Planner, as I'm told, is keep it simple, something visually planned. So that's why you don't see a lot of bells and whistles like dependencies, predecessors, constraints, and all this stuff. Things are pretty fluid, easy, a good tool for planning ad hoc or more dynamic work, which changes pretty often. Okay, so that's a good way to think about Planner. So let me take a look at the questions that came in, and then we'll move on to the final demo of the session. Okay, so Q&A. All right. So with Planner, how about deeper collaboration like discussion threads, boards, title plan, specific task or issue, or overall workplace? What I did not show you is there is a notebook attached to every plan, so you can use that to start collaboration. The other thing is also something I mentioned. There is Office 365 group that is created every time a plan is created. So the future vision is Office 365 groups is going to be the common thread among several different services. So if you want to collaborate, if you want a discussion thread, is a great place for a Office 365 group. So you can create discussions there, you can have all your discussions there. So look more into Office 365 group and you will be able to you'll be able to find more information on that. Okay, to get Planner, you have to license Office 365, right? Yes, and everything I'm showing you today is part of Office 365. You will need a license for it, depending on, I think Planner is included on at the lowest level of an enterprise license. So you might want to look into the licensing arrangements there. Okay. Is there just a standard task list? Is there just a standard SharePoint task list running behind Planner? If yes, so can you sync with project like you showed with task list? No. I'm not Microsoft, so I don't know if there's a task list running behind Planner, but no, there is no task list that you can tap into and sync with project. We'll see if that comes up on the roadmap or not. Um, okay, so is Planner accessible via mobile app? I believe there is one in works. It's listed on the roadmap for Office 365. I'm just not sure when it is going to be available. Is there a way to connect Planner to other databases to pull actual hours spent versus planned hours? Again, this is a question of whether it's needed or not, because Planner is meant to be kept simple. So the moment you start talking hours and tracking and timesheets, Planner may not be the best solution for you. So you might want to look into Project Online. Can one attach emails, OneNotes, and notes to Planner tasks? Yes, you can attach emails as EML files. Okay, so there's a lot more questions. In the interest of time, I want to at least cover a quick overview of Project Online. So let me keep going forward, and then we'll come back, and if we have more questions, and we can answer. Okay, so if many of the questions seem to be centering around, okay, can I track my hours? Can I track cost, effort, and duration? Can I track projects across an enterprise? Can I do portfolio management? All these questions, they seem to be for, if you're asking this question, then you probably are ready for Project Online, because Project Online is a next level of maturity from the tools that we have already seen, and allows you to do all of these things. So let me quickly share my screen and bring up Project Online. That way you can see. So again, Project Online is available in the waffle. So if you click on Project, it will take you to Project Online. Okay, so as you can see, there is timesheets, there is projects. So if you click on projects, you can see all projects are in one place. And you can see you can set up several indicators. So right there you have a dashboard, a quick overview of all the projects that are going on in your organization. Can you not do this with SharePoint? I will not say that. You will not need to develop some custom solutions for yourself or get any of the third-party applications. But Project Online is optimized with all this stuff is inbuilt. These indicators are pretty easy to set up. You can write your own formulae to do all this stuff. The biggest benefit Project Online will bring to table are two things. One is resource management, in my opinion. So you can actually look at all the resources in the enterprise, look at their workloads. For example, if I select, let's see, if I can look at their current assignments. Okay, he doesn't have any data. I can look at their capacity planning. Let's try Alex data. So I can plan their capacity. I can look at their graphs, all the information. So you can see that the capacity is 8 hours. Right now, I can see in this time frame that I selected, Alex is pretty free, so I can assign work to him. So there is resource management available. There is a new feature called resource engagements that has been introduced again sometime last year, which has been very popular. So you might want to look into that, resource engagements. I think we also have a webcast sometime in the next year about resource engagement, so where we will take a deep dive into that feature. But there's a ton of functionality around resourcing. There is reports that are available that you can develop across multiple projects as opposed to SharePoint sites. There is portfolio analysis that you can do. So you can decide, okay, so if I have this many projects, how do I select the projects that I really want to do? Okay, so in this case, this is $22 million budget. So what if I only have $10 million budget? Okay, so I hope I got the number right. That's 10 million. Okay, so I'm going to recalculate. So what if I only have 10 million? So what projects can I do? So the system will actually calculate this for you and say, for the maximum benefit, you need to do these 10, 15, whatever projects. So you can see that for within my budget, I can only do these projects for my maximum benefit. Okay, and then you can see how whether you have resources or not for these particular projects. I know I'm going pretty fast on this one, but in the interest of time, but we will have more, and I think there are several future webcasts that cover these topics in detail. My goal today is to introduce these tools and say, okay, here you have a tool that is available depending on your maturity level in the organization and depending on your needs. So you don't have to use them all. Take a supermarket approach. You don't buy everything when you go to a supermarket, everything you see, right? You buy what you need. So, but you do have options. If you go to Home Depot, you probably have 100 different hammers. You won't buy them all. You will buy the one that you need. So my goal today is to introduce you to tools that are available and help you make the right decision. So let me go back to my slide deck and just one summary slide and we will be done. Okay, so as you can see, just summarizing, if you are at an individual level, we are talking about doing task management, use Wunderlist, Outlook, or OneNote, or Excel for that matter. Okay, ad hoc teams, Excel, Planner is a great solution to look into. I would really encourage you to look into it. And SharePoint is always there. I cannot imagine anybody not using SharePoint that is on this webcast, but there are several features that you probably have not tapped into, so you can actually convert them into a full-fledged solution. There is, and then for project and portfolio management, you are looking at using Project Online. Okay, and one final slide about our company. EPMA is a premier service provider in this space, project and portfolio management solutions. So make sure you check out our website and blog and links there. We have several solutions to offer. Okay, key resources. Again, this slide deck should be available to you, so all those links are available for you to click, several white papers and links to videos. And then Q&A, done. Okay, so that's my contact information. Again, it's available in the downloadable slide deck. Okay, fill out the survey, another reminder, and finally, upcoming webcasts. Okay, so make sure you register for the remaining webcasts, and the webcast schedule is designed to allow you to, in a progression which will allow you to make the right decisions for your organization. I know I'm 2 minutes over, so with that, I will end. I will try and answer questions if it's possible via email, or you are free to contact me directly if you still have questions. Okay. With that, we are done. Thank you everyone for joining this webcast. And Jessica, we're done there, right?